Welcome to Backroom Breakdown with Lauren, your analysis of local, state, and federal politics. This is DITV's weekly politics segment where I'll discuss important political events impacting Iowa City. I'm your host, Lauren Johnson. More than 1 year after the 2020 election, the January 6th House Committee has taken further actions in an attempt to understand that fateful day. On January 6th of this year, while the U.S. Congress was confirming the electoral results of the 2020 presidential election, extremist protesters broke into the U.S. Capitol building. A brief timeline of the events as we now know them. At noon, former President Trump gave a speech encouraging gathered protesters to march to the Capitol building. In his speech, Trump continued to allege that the 2020 election was stolen and criticized former Vice President Mike Pence and other high-ranking Republican officials for not backing up his allegations with decisive action. By 12:30, a crowd of Trump supporters had congregated outside the Capitol. Representative Paul Gosar and Senator Ted Cruz objected to the certification of the election results in Arizona, leading to a separation of the joint session into the House and Senate chambers to debate the merits of the objection. Around 12:50, rioters began to overwhelm Capitol Police presence. By 2:12 p.m., the rioters had entered the building. At 2:20 p.m., the U.S. House went into recess and representatives began evacuating. The National Guard would not be deployed to assist for nearly 3 hours. At 2:24 p.m., Trump tweeted, quote, "Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution, giving states a chance to certify a corrected set of facts, not the fraudulent or inaccurate ones which they were asked to previously certify. USA demands the truth," end quote. At 2:44 p.m., rioter Ashley Babbitt was shot by Capitol Police while attempting to enter the Speaker's lobby through a window. At 4:17 p.m., Trump tweeted a video of himself where he denounced the riots, but maintained his false stolen election allegations. He said, quote, "I know your pain. I know you're hurt. We had an election that was stolen from us. It was a landslide election and everyone knows it, especially the other side. But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. You're very special. You've seen what happens. You see the way others are treated that are so bad and so evil. I know how you feel, but go home and go home in peace," end quote. At 5:40 p.m., the National Guard began removing rioters from inside the Capitol building. Around 7 p.m., Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram removed Trump's posts for inciting violence. Twitter also suspended his account for 12 hours for, quote, "repeated and severe violations of the civic integrity policy," end quote. At 8 p.m., U.S. Capitol Police declared the Capitol building was secure, and the Senate reconvened shortly after. At 9 p.m., Speaker Nancy Pelosi reopened the House debate. After a series of objections to different states and rejections of these objections, the joint session of Congress completed the counting of the results and announced that Biden had won 306 to 232 at 3:24 a.m. January 7th. Questions still remain for the January 6th Commission about just what happened that day and the days before it. Rolling Stone reports some January 6th organizers allegedly held dozens of meetings with members of Congress and White House staff. Some were even promised blanket pardons. Perhaps the most important questions remain. Why did it take the president 3 hours to respond to the violence at the Capitol before telling them to go home? And why did it take so long to deploy the National Guard to a terrorist threat against the U.S. Capitol? Trump has never quit pressing the outright lie that the election was somehow stolen from him, despite losing every court case and every legal challenge without showing one shred of proof in his favor. The violence that occurred January 6th was in the name of the same lie he and his lackeys in and out of Congress continue to express today. As predicted, Steve Bannon, Trump's ex-political advisor and extremism hardliner, turned himself in to the FBI on Monday. This comes after a grand jury indicted him for contempt of Congress last week. He remained untamed, saying, quote, "I am never going to back down. They took on the wrong guy this time," end quote. Bannon will appear in court Thursday morning. Again, Bannon asserted the nonsense case of executive privilege. It remains to be seen whether other Trump advisors subpoenaed by the January 6th Commission, like former Chief of Staff Mike Meadows and former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, will follow in Bannon's footsteps. Flynn also recently found himself in hot water after saying the U.S. should be under one religion, implying Christianity, which of course goes against the First Amendment. On Wednesday, it seems Bannon's current plan is to plead not guilty to the criminal contempt of Congress charges while still refusing the commission's request. The commission has responded saying, quote, "In short, Mr. Bannon appears to have played a multifaceted role in the events of January 6th, and the American people are entitled to hear his firsthand testimony regarding his actions," end quote. The January 6th rioter Jacob Chansley, who drew attention for wearing horns and carrying a flag-draped spear, was sentenced to 41 months in jail after pleading guilty. In addition to riling up the crowd, he wrote a note to Pence saying, quote, "It's only a matter of time. Justice is coming," end quote. Chansley was charged with obstructing official proceedings. In the months after the coup attempt, he had become the face of the event. Now he says, quote, "I have no excuses whatsoever. My behavior is indefensible," end quote. The January 6th Commission faces impediments at every turn from Trump and his supporters. Whatever happened, they do not want it to be discovered. Maybe one day the American people will fully understand what happened January 6th, 2021. Thanks for tuning in to Backroom Breakdown with Lauren. I'll be back next time with the latest political news affecting Iowa City, Iowa, and the USA. I'm Lauren Johnson. Have a great day.